4/18/23 in session. Call to order. Approval of agenda. Everybody got that?
Yep.
Do we have a motion to approve agenda?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion from
Jack.
not just Jack, Jack. Jack.
Whatever.
Second, anybody?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion carries. Approval of minutes. Anybody go through
We
the
gotta
last
vote.
minutes?
Hold on, go back, gotta vote.
That was one. You need to vote.
We gotta vote on it. You got a second, so you get a vote.
We got a second. All in favor? I'm sorry.
There we go.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimously carries. I'd like to see the city manager after this, okay?
That sounds good.
And let's go to approval of minutes. On the 21st, I was gone. Jack held that meeting, right?
I did.
Okay, we get stuff done?
I thought we did.
Okay. Approval of minutes, do I have
Oh,
a
here's Jim.
motion? Howdy.
Morning.
Taking up all the space here.
You good? So we had approval of minute, we had a motion to approve?
Need a motion.
Second?
No, need a motion.
Need a motion.
Uh-oh.
Thought we had that already.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Do we have a 2nd
I'll second.
Anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Review of comments from planning, parks, commissions regarding historic village. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've listened to a lot of it. I've listened to the parks, I listened to the planning. I'm still kind of following their leads. I just don't know what the plan is for them. So would you fill us in on that?
I will do my best, Chair and members of the EDA. So I did try to provide a summary feedback from the commissions on just an Excel or just a PDF file as best as I possibly could to get the high, points. There was lots of discussion at both the Parks and the Planning Commission about the overall historic village plan. I think the general consensus was it's a fine plan. It would work great long term. However, both commissions in summary were, I don't know if this is feasible in the next 10 years or 15 years, just because of the sheer amount of need in the area to be able to do so much more infrastructure needs than what is there currently. So that was kind of the consensus. I said, well, this give us some points of talking. I'll start with the Parks Commission ones. I did summarize these, but they want to make sure that they connect as much as possible. And we can't really show that on this map, but we can just keep that in our head when we're looking at the historic village overall. Is connecting the trails that are going to be put in at the trailhead next to Gooden Park by Three Rivers Park District. So they purchased the land. It would be to the east of Gooden Park on the river. I think it was a couple years ago now. And that will be a trailhead spot. So they are looking to make that as a parking spot so you can take a canoe from there or take a kayak or take a bike. They will take from that spot and either go east or west on the West Mississippi Regional Trail after that gets constructed, or going south towards the Diamond Lake Trail. So that is their trailhead, and we want to make sure that we connect with those. That was one of the big things with the parks. It's hard to show in this plan because this only focuses on a 1 by 1 mile radius area, not the whole entire city of Dayton, but that was a big thing. The other thing that they focused on with the Parks Commission was connectivity and the bridges. So they said, although bridges are great, they're also very expensive and very hard to get in place. They did mention, and I don't know this to be a fact or not, but that there used to be a bridge that connected the historic village and Slabtown at one time. I don't know when that ever got taken down. I don't know if it was part of a flood process or whatnot. I don't know. But they did mention that they'd like to keep the one that runs north-south between the historic village downtown area and Slabtown is basically the primary goal. And the other one would just be a maybe more of a thought in the clouds kind of deal. If we can get it, great. Don't remove it completely out of the plan. But more like if we get it, fantastic. If not, it's not like it's a need. And they also wanted to look at and talk about putting possibly pedestrian crossing at the bridge where the cars actually go, the Dayton River Road bridge. They wanted to see if we could add at least walkways across there because there is no current walkways across that bridge. So
A county thing?
it might be a county thing, yeah. So at what point we would figure out that, and that's kind of like a when would we figure that out process. It'd be more like let's put it on the plan, we could talk about it with the county if they ever want to redo that bridge. We'd ask them to make it at least wide enough to be able to allow pedestrians both east and west on that bridge. But that was the main couple things that the Parks Commission really focused on. I didn't hear much about the DNR landing. I didn't hear much about another landing that we had talked about during a water trail study, which would have been on the other side of the DNR landing, basically kind of tucks underneath the bridge there. It'd be, I believe, if you're headed west on Dayton Road, it'd be the last house on the left before you cross over that bridge. That house would be acquired, based on the water trail study. That house would be acquired, turned into a parking lot, and then you'd be able to have access onto the Crow River for a canoe kayak access, which would be different than the current DNR landing. The DNR landing that sits out there today is actually for boats, motors, so on and so forth. And so but the Parks Commission had no interest in changing any of that. They did not want to put that in the plan at this point because they thought it was just too close to the other DNR landing, and we could maybe work with the DNR to be able to adjust that landing to be able to allow that kind of process maybe on the Crow instead of taking up another piece of land. But that was the main focus from the Parks Commission, which was good to have a focus from them. The Planning Commission was a little more broad and talking about things that I think they all kind of agreed upon having medium density as maybe the highest density in this area just because of the traffic flow from high density that they were concerned about. Biggest thing is that in and out is only one way. It's either north or basically south, or it's west, and that's the only way to get in and out of that town, and that's it. And so high density creates a lot more traffic, and that was their concern is the street capacity.
But it was too high density, or?
Yeah, so if they put high density down here, it adds so many more vehicles that have to go to that place that makes it hard for traffic to flow. That was their thought process.
What I understood when I read that was they were saying, kind of like we had proposed, like just Robinson Street, but then the rest stay more residential kind of thing. That don't put high density in the whole village kind of thing.
Correct. So based on this plan, high density is basically one block off of Robinson Street or Dayton River Road, the main road. On this plan, it looks like high density is going to be that basically the back end half of that block. And the Planning Commission agreed with the EDA that said we probably should put medium density there. Although townhomes are great and row homes or whatever are really good, the high density creates difficulty with parking and with traffic flows and just in general capacity issues within that area because it causes so much more need on infrastructure too, water, sewer needs and such.
Wasn't it also that most of what we're talking about can be accomplished with medium density?
Correct.
We didn't really need high density?
We do not. No, we do not need high density. It was just, again, this was the plan at the time was to create some high density area, but that was the Planning Commission's take, that was kind of a difficult one, just based on capacity needs that we have, or capacity issues that we have down here in the historic village, not only with water and sewer, but also with roads and access points.
Well, and the possibility of underground parking.
Correct.
Because of the water table.
Water table is really high in this area. As you can see now with the flooding that we have going on down there, the water table is very high. So underground parking is not impossible, but dang near impossible in that area just because you can't go that far underground before you hit water. And you'd have to do a ton of waterproofing and stuff to have underground parking even possible. So it creates a really big issue in this area. But that was their main things. The other one that they talked about a lot was the parking on Robinson Street. It was kind of a 50-50, I don't even know if it's 50-50, more with like 75-25 split about if that'll work or not with 45-degree parking, only because the traffic that's going on that road is a pretty main road. They thought maybe we could do a parallel parking thing or use the Baxter Street, which runs north-south. I believe that's the right street.
Yeah.
Baxter Street, instead of having that boulevard there, maybe have a walkway there, but also have the parking on Baxter Street. Be able to park on Baxter and then walk to the area on Robinson Street with those commercials and stuff. So they did agree commercial on that area, mixed use, could be apartments above or something, but could be like a small coffee shops, bike shops, things we've talked about here at the EDA. But they thought about maybe having Baxter as a parking area. So you could park on Baxter, you widen that road a little bit, make a boulevard in the middle so you could walk down it. It wouldn't maybe be as pretty with all the green grass and stuff, but you'd be able to park on that road while not having to try to back out into a county road. But that was their main points. They didn't have a whole lot. I mean, they had a ton of other comments here and there, but that was about the main things that they're looking at. A lot of things that the EDA had already talked about, which was good. And to see that those commissions are on the same path and the same page. So.
Yeah, one of the things I took away from it was it was kind of like they were looking at the original plan and they came to more or less similar kind of consensus with what we had proposed, with some exceptions like the parking stuff and some of those things. Tim, one of the things I thought we talked about last week, which for me was really, I think Dave, you brought it up, but when we talked about this water park, our water trails thing, and then the parks and how that all kind of may come together, it's kind of, everything's always an if. But the whole concept of having the historic village become kind of like a outdoor outpost, I think you called it REI kind of area. I think that the more I thought about that, the more I think it makes a lot of sense, because it's not going to ever be a major retail area, but it could be a small retail area that supported that kind of outdoor type activity, sitting out on a deck having lunch or whatever kind of thing. So I just wonder, as we progress our thinking, whether that becomes maybe some of the backdrop vision of what we want really the historic village to be, versus trying to make it something it can't maybe possibly be in the next 10 plus years.
Can't maybe possibly. That's a three-way.
Yeah. Can't be.
I have to think about that one.
Yeah.
Can we pause the camera?
Anything's possible with money, but is it likely?
Everything's possible with money.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are you going with this?
Well, I just wanted to inform you of our discussion and kind of
I watched it.
The thought.
It
Okay.
certainly makes sense, and I don't think anybody's against it on this panel. So I think that's 10-4.
Okay.
Okay. That's where we're going. All right.
So what I need to know is the final decision. So the final decision lies with the EDA of what to take into place and what not to. And then my goal is to update this map, and I'll probably have to do it with coloring because I don't have this CAD company that did this process back in 2004. But I'll probably have to do with, I'll do some obviously looking and say, okay, this is what this means. This is what this means when we go to have a public engagement process. But I need to know what to update on this map, what not to update, because the EDA lies with the last say before we go to public engagement and then go to the council. And so I'd like to be able to put something on paper that we can adjust and show to the public when we do have that public engagement date, to be able to come back and say, these are what our commissions are saying, this is what we've agreed upon, taking all the feedback in as the EDA, what would you like to make adjustments to, so on and so forth, so that I can make final revisions and then we can set a date. But that is what I'm looking for today.
So what I'm hearing is zoning hasn't changed much, if any, other than high densities coming out, correct?
Yeah, is that an agreement? Do we think that the EDA is on board with that?
Do we need a motion on that?
No, but I'd like to consensus if head nods will work. Or
I guess the one thing that, I proposed some zoning type stuff in the one I sent around, which we all talked about. But to me, it seemed like the feedback was that was kind of the number one thing we should make sure we get done.
Yep.
And I think that's what we were thinking too. So to me, maybe we should have some discussion or make sure that we're all on the same page on what that looks like. I think right now we were saying that, what is it, like 3-block area or whatever it is, was
Against the River Road. The medium
that would be
density.
medium.
Behind that is
medium
RO
density / commercial.
normal stuff. MU3, what do you call it? What's it now?
What's all mixed use?
Right now, it's historic village, so it's mixed use historic village. I think it's MUHV or something like that.
So then, against the River Road, we have the
Robinson
medium
Street,
and
yeah.
commercial and all that, and then
Yep.
start back there to the river, and to the other side we'll have the same mixed use. I mean, because really there's no traction because you got to have builders to do so. Don't you have to have-
Yeah, we want to be able to set the plan in place so that we could tell builders if they come in and do something, they say, we want this to happen here. This is what we'd like to have happen. Whether that's medium density, the idea would be able to not just use mixed use as the example, because
Right.
mixed use is so broad that it when I say mixed use to a developer, that could mean one thing to one developer and one thing to another developer, depending on what they do. And so we'd like to, as the staff, be able to go, this one needs to be medium density, this one needs to be whatever, light commercial is fine, so we want to call that. For the part along Robinson Street to be light commercial, it can also be a mixed use if we want to do that on Robinson Street, to say that it can be both commercial and residential in the same tandem. But then the mixed use area, we want to get rid of. That's the idea. Be able to go, okay, this is medium density, this would be like low density, this is what we want to keep as, I think it's RO, I think is what it's called right now, which is residential in the historic village area.
It'll turn into 3 stages.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we've already discussed that like 100 times, haven't we?
I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with.
Yeah.
Mixed use, you could build a residential house there too, right?
Yep, correct.
So that would be a little bit of a concern, like we have this big plan and then someone comes in and buys
Couple
a couple houses or, I don't know, right on Dayton Road and says, I want to build a house. Is that going to fit in with the commercial that we're trying to do?
I think that's,
Technically, he could, under mixed use, he
Yeah.
could tear down the bar and build a house there if he wanted.
if you're the first guy. You know, I mean, that's the problem with mixed use being so
Right.
broad, is that the first guy in can do whatever he wants. You know, but then as you get some of that in, well, then the mixed use definition says, well, we need some of all of this.
Yep.
And so the first guy took that, and so now we need, you know, so now the scope narrows. And so as what's left in the menu narrows, then we can only have these other things. And
You got it.
Okay.
So the only question I really had was, we talked about the right on Robinson being, I think we said commercial high density. Now, maybe based on the the planning commission's input, that maybe be commercial medium density?
Yeah, or you can, if you want to
Or
make sure
light
it's-
commercial, or?
Yeah, light commercial would be what you'd call it.
And then the
or-
next block back, we had
MU3.
mentioned it as
Yeah.
medium, I think, but
Yep.
I don't know if we want that still medium, or do we want that just single-family residential? The block behind the block that's on
There's no real
Robinson.
quantification here. It's either going to be A, B, or C, or CBA. I mean,
Well, just how far you want to take medium out, you know, do you want to take,
we want to take high density out.
no, what I meant out was how large do you want to make the medium density? Do you want to make the whole town medium density, or do you just want to make it a block back, or do you want to?
So does this area, does it go all the way back to the river?
Which one? The Robinson Street area?
Yeah.
Nope. So it just stops
Three
basically
blocks.
at that. It's 3 blocks. So it's this block here. So it's 1, 2, 3 blocks. That's it.
Okay.
3 blocks, 3 zones, right?
Yeah. So you got 3 blocks basically. You have 1 block that's north of Robinson Street. That's going to be Levy Street. Would you like that to be medium density? I think that's what we're hearing today. At least that's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's.
Can you put the
consensus.
map up? I think it'd be
Yeah, I can.
a lot easier just for us to see.
You want the map that I?
Well, you can even put the existing one, it doesn't matter.
Just trying to figure out.
I think the existing one has high density going all the way to the river. The one
You
that
want
we,
the historic village feed framework plan?
yeah, I mean, it's just a map, well, any map, really.
Yes,
What I'd like to do today is get this put to bed so that we could,
I agree.
I concur.
yeah. We've had enough discussions for enough commissions and everybody else and their brother. Let's call this and make sure it's logical and see what we see. If it has to be changed later in life, I guess, do we do that?
Yeah, we can change it
Well,
next
now-
year if you want
yeah,
to, but
Can always be changed.
that's the,
So let's just put it to bed and stop wasting brain cells on it.
And then as we're talking about this, the thing that goes through my head is like, this has been talked about for 20 years. And like, nothing's ever been done.
After you had a beef
Let's
stick.
just get something going,
Right,
if that makes sense.
Put in place.
that's where I'm
Like,
at,
maybe that'll jumpstart things, but
right.
like, one building or one sidewalk or, I don't know, I mean, something just to show progress. I don't know if I'm completely wrong on this thinking or not, but like, sometimes progress is a
It's
good
a start,
motivator.
right.
here's your plan that sits today.
So the red,
The red is what we just talked about. Yeah, basically the red dead center of this picture. That's light commercial basically, or what we
Zoom
talked.
it in.
Yep. I don't know if it's going to get pixelated or not, but there you go.
It's okay, I can.
so to me, the only question is, I thought we agreed on, you know, like, well, how far does that go? And what we talked about was just the 3, it was from Dayton Avenue to Richardson, I think.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't have a mouse or a laser.
Do my best to follow it on the screen with the finger.
Coming in, we got the roundabout, these are our commercial and medium densities so that we can get businesses put in here. We've got 1 and 2 blocks, so we make those two.
You got one block. This is only one
There's
block.
one block?
There's one
Just
block.
one block there. Yep.
Okay, and we do it the same way this way. So everything's kind of uniformed. You can still have your RO/MU.
Yeah. We consider RO right now, which is
RO.
basically just single-family residential is all it is.
And that still gives promote growth to these guys, and it continues up here, and it can continue along here where we already have that. So that's kind of how I see it. And this is where your moneymaker is going to be right in here. Everything off street's going to be here. Your water parks, your trails can still work. Does that make sense to everybody?
So what I hear him saying is the Robinson Street's light commercial or
Yep.
or whatever, and then the rest of it's residential.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So one block off, or the backside of that same block, would be medium density, and instead of the high density that sits there today, and then basically all the rest of it after that would be RO as it sits today, or single-family residential.
Okay. So the one block behind Robinson would be medium.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The backside of Robinson Street's block. So I don't even know what. I think that's Dayton Avenue. I think is what it's called. Or
Well, I mean, does that make sense to everybody? That's kind of what we've been talking about for the last,
6 months.
Well, if you
have a
re-
beef stick.
if we remove the high density that is in those larger buildings, what is our sewer and water capacity? Is it
That's the next step that we
is
got.
that absolutely fine if we remove the high density?
No.
No.
Still not.
So the idea is to get a plan that we want to go with. Then we can take that plan and figure out if we want to take engineering time to be able to run scenarios. Is that going to work? Is this what do we need to do
Okay.
to get this? There's been some other scenarios we're working with, and not just trying to upgrade the pipes in the ground because that's really expensive and it takes a lot of work to do. But adding a larger lift station, adding some other abilities to be able to hold
More
sewer
infrastructure.
for longer times so we can pump it out at non-peak times. We're looking at some other things to be able to do that with, but I want to be able to have a plan on paper that we're good with so that I can go, okay, now let's do some research and analysis on it of what do we need to do in order to get that to happen. Again, none of this really is going to be able to go forward until we have any interest in this area.
Right.
But if we have a plan on paper to say this is what we're starting with, that at least gives us a good direction.
Dave, this work for you?
It does.
Scott?
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack.
Yeah.
Not just Jack, but Jack.
Yep.
Okay, that's our plan.
The only one, the last one we need to work on is just want to make sure you guys are good. Do you guys want to do the Parks Commission and remove that second trail bridge over the top?
Let's park beside that.
Where is that?
Okay, so
now?
the first bridge that they're talking about, the north-south one, so I'll zoom in on it. This is the one that they said keep if we can, because
Yeah.
it's going to be plausible. This one over here, oh gosh, I'm going to actually move this thing. Come. Okay, well, I guess not.
One down here.
Yeah, the one on the right down there on the bottom right of the screen is the one they said that's really just more like a long term. We might as well just remove it off this plan because it's not going to happen in the next 25 years. So,
What I thought we discussed in the plan, like our kind of revised plan, was the same bridge to keep that one.
yep. So
The,
it's,
the
yep.
one that they're
Keep
saying
the north-south one.
What's it gonna hurt to keep it there?
It
Park
does.
said they were for or against it.
They said they would remove it and leave it as possibly
That's this one
temporary.
down
Okay,
here.
let's follow their cue on that.
So if we remove it, I'll just remove it off the plan and I'll just leave it as basically a dotted line of it could happen, but we'll remove the actual bridge off the plan so that we won't have it.
Make sense to everybody here? Okay, we have another nod.
Okay. I think that's about it. And unless you guys have anything else you want to add to this plan, otherwise basically just changing from high density to medium density and then again leaving most of it there. We'll make sure that the trail connections, which I think are mostly there.
I guess the one thing is, what do we do with Baxter? Do we make it a
Yep, that's the
walkway
last one.
thing, or do we do the parking like
Yep.
they're talking about?
Well, the computer totally just froze, so that's just wonderful. Yeah, so do you want to keep Baxter that sits today, or would you rather, or as it sits, sorry, not as it sits today. Yeah, keep it as it sits today. Make it more of a boulevard kind of deal with the green grass through the middle of it, or follow the Planning Commission's recommendation, which would be to move it to be a parking area so that you could have off-street parking at that spot at 45-degree angle or whatever.
Could you do both? Could you
Ma-
make it like with parallel, I mean, that would be a street you could do parallel parking and green space and walking and all that stuff, and you'd park there and then
Yep.
walk out to the main
Correct.
street. That would avoid your parallel parking and backing out onto a
Show me
county
that
road.
spot.
So what we're talking about,
The green.
yeah, the green basically, my computer is not happy with me this morning. Good grief. So basically the green in the center of the screen there. Instead of having it, so basically right there it shows basically a greenway is what we would call it, is that there's no parking on that right now as it sits today. It would just be used as a, basically a greenway to be able to walk through, so there'd probably be a path down the middle of it and then green
You
space.
have enough space. I agree with parks or planning parks that it needs to be parking.
That'd be planning commission, yeah, so planning commission thinks it should be, you could still have a walkway down the middle of it, which would be fine for a trail, but then instead of having the green space, you could still have maybe some on the corner or something, but allow 45-degree parking. Or
When it starts
parking or
building, you're
something.
gonna need spots.
Well, yeah, no, what I was thinking is like, it wouldn't be as designed here as a green space, but you'd have the parallel, I mean, the perpendicular
45
parking
degree.
all along there, like they're suggesting, but you'd still do it in a way that it was like a green space where you're parking off of Robinson and walking.
Let's not waste it with center islands of green, because that would be a waste of extra space.
Yeah, that's what the planning commission said, is, but they could add some green, but it's not gonna be
Yeah,
like that.
Right.
Center. So 45 degree, you say?
Or
Parking?
45 degree or whatever it is.
Okay, all right, got
And-
nods? Moving on.
And any parking on the main street, Robinson?
You have parallel right now.
Correct, yeah, so basically there'd be parallel parking, so you're able to pull in and then pull out, basically, so there'd be just a little bit. But the 45-degree parking on Robinson Street creates many more spaces, so you can
Yeah.
get them in there, but then you can't back out onto
Yeah.
Robinson Street.
Put a
so
long
it's
truck in the 45.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, so
My
that's
truck
why.
is 26 feet long. You're
Yeah,
sticking
so-
out right in the middle of nowhere.
So parallel parking would be allowed on, or look to be part of this process. It also takes way less right of way too when you do that, so there, you don't take up, I don't even know, 10 or 15 feet of that first front right of way on that property, which actually makes it a little more usable for the current plating that we have down there
Did
today.
that answer your question?
Yep.
Jim? Okay.
There really isn't opportunity to make that road wider without taking out a bunch of those buildings.
You got it.
Yeah,
I think we're
I
safe
mean,
to
it is
move on.
pretty wide now when you go down there.
Yeah, you could do some, so how you would show it is that what they do now is they have what they call bump outs. They have curb bump outs, basically, so that allows shorter distances for pedestrians to walk across, but then it slows traffic down because the bump outs come together. And then those bump outs would create a spot next to the sidewalk to be able to put a parallel parking car.
Parallel, but not
Yeah,
45
correct.
degrees.
Not 45, it would just be parallel, that's correct. So that's it, yeah, and so there's other comments we want to talk about and make sure I get on this plan. That should be all
Sound
I
good?
looking for today.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, fantastic. I'll do my best to upgrade that map. It's going to be a disaster, but do my best. Okay, next thing
Do we
is-
want to pay someone to update it, or?
Oh, I can look into it and see. I got to figure out who did it back in 2004. It was done by a GIS program, so I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
have a
know.
clue how they did it.
Do we need to authorize that now if you find somebody, or should have discretion?
Sure.
Yeah, let's take a vote.
Sure.
on it.
So I hear that what we're saying is that if you find someone that can put this together,
Yep.
we'll spend EDA funds to do with this?
Yep, that would be correct.
I'm
Well,
fine.
it's based on cost though, right?
Well, it's not like he's gonna go and have Taj Mahal write it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do my best to keep the cost as low as possible. I mean, that's not, if it's 10 grand, I'm not going to do it.
No.
If it's a couple $1,000s.
Couple
it might
grand?
be- Yeah, might be
Okay.
worth it.
Junior,
So just give me,
that?
how about give me an authorization up
Yeah.
to a dollar amount so that I don't,
There you
so you guys are,
Think
Comfortable.
I would say
2,500 or?
that we motion to approve up to $5,000 for
Okay.
an upgraded graphical display of Historic Village for the plan.
We have a motion on the floor, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
okay,
Good to go, Treasurer.
wonderful.
Yeah, I think we need something for the meeting when we.
Correct, yep, so that's the next thing I need to do is be able to set a date for public engagement. So we're looking at doing that down at the activity center. I was able to get some dates from Teresa to be able to host it. Our thoughts were to be able to have a dinner or some sort of process after hours, probably like a 5:30 start, and provide dinner for people to be able to come and get them and basically grab them in.
Well, this is going to depend on when you get that thing made.
Yep, so I have some
Put
dates,
some
but
pressure on him.
I'll do my best to get some people on it. That's the plan. And hopefully I can get it done by the time. But I would suggest a time in May, based on the time we have to do this updated map, plus send out mailers and all this other stuff. So we're probably looking mid-May, likely.
That's even soon.
So it's about a month from now. So either Thursday, May 11th, Wednesday, May 24th, or Thursday, May 25th.
The longer the better, I
I'd
think.
go the later ones, either the 24th or 5th. I think it's going to take you
Well,
a
we got to
little.
keep it away from fishing because everybody does that thing.
That's the 15th,
It's
right?
fishing already, that's 15.
That's 13th, yep.
13th.
15th.
But that, I don't even think it matters if you go into June. I mean, none of this is happening for,
Right.
who knows when.
Yeah, we can go into June if you like to do that too.
Call it.
I think June would be okay if
Beginning of June.
I mean, I just think we would need to be a little more prepared to go into this meeting with some good graphics and things. I mean, you don't want to call a meeting and just like,
Get our crayons out.
right, exactly.
Yep, so what I'll do is, I don't have that date in front of me, unfortunately, sorry, so I want to be able to set a date though. So what I'll do is between this meeting and the next EDA meeting,
Cover the
I'll
next
work
one.
on getting the plan set together and it's some dates set in spots. That way, if we do the next meeting in, let's say we do the next meeting in May and set the date actually, so we'll kind of table this, setting the date process, that we're looking at the 16th of May. If you say, yep, we'll go to that, we could send mailers out the 17th or 18th, and then that gives people basically 3 weeks until June. So that should be enough time, hopefully, by the time Memorial Day's over and then stuff, so.
Really going to depend on when you have your stuff, so I'm pretty floating. I don't care. It don't matter to me. It's all you guys.
Well, we will table the date then, I'll just tentatively say sometime in the beginning of June, but we'll table that.
Okay.
I just need a motion and a second to table it.
Need a motion? We need a motion for that.
Yep.
Okay,
Table
look
it.
for a motion.
Table it.
Table it, we're going to table it. We have a
Second?
second. All in favor?
Scott first.
All opposed?
Second.
Motion carries.
Wonderful. Okay, EDA chair and members of the EDA, we have discussion from Commissioner Luther, who asked about adopting a flower pot in the historic village. So we did order those up. We ordered 8 plants potters that we had brought in. Thank you, Councilmember Solonic, for bringing those in. We
What
did.
do they look like?
So they're square, larger, square comments. Scott brought them in last time. You don't have a clue.
I brought a picture.
He did bring a picture.
Didn't bring a pot.
No, he did not.
We didn't have a pot then.
Did not. So we did order them up, and we're going to place them at the spots you guys located at, which are the 4 corners at Baxter, and then 2 at the far left.
The next
street.
block
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, 1, 2.
I think it's Dayton and Richardson.
Yeah, something like that. Yep. And so we ordered the pots up. However, the one thing I want to mention is that the pots cost $600 more than the cost that you gave us, Scott.
Did it really?
Yes,
Why?
because the shipping is so expensive.
Okay.
So the cost of them is the same.
for all of
Scott,
them.
you
For
had
all
one
of them.
job.
Total.
So $600 for shipping. So I would, either we have $100 worth of flowers put in them, or we're going to need an upgraded budget in order to do that process. So it's up to you guys. We did find people to be able to take care of them, so we have somebody lined up to pot them and plant them. But the public works is going to be able to water them. So that's the main thing, is keeping the upkeep.
How about
on.
admin discretion on that?
Okay, sounds good.
All
So
in favor? Is that a motion?
Here's the motion.
Yep.
Discretion on the
Discretion on
dollars.
Dollars, yeah. So what I'm looking for is probably another $500 under the
Yeah,
line.
no big deal.
Okay.
Okay, we need a motion.
Would we be able to raise any money from the,
Yep. So that's the next time I want to talk
Okay.
about is the adopt the flower.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor first,
Motion.
right?
Yeah, who is motion? Sorry.
So we're
Scott.
going to let you $500
Scott,
more?
I'll second
Yep.
it.
Scott.
Who was first? Scott? Okay.
Yeah,
All in
Scott was
favor?
first.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and then on the top of that, like I said, Commissioner Luther had mentioned that he would like to do adopt a flower plot. So basically, if you want to be able to adopt a flower plot, and basically, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, so I'll let you have the floor on it. But
basically you would adopt a pot, right? So you donate some money towards the pot, whatever we say the dollar amount is, and that would include getting some sort of little placard made
Yep.
that we could put on that, adopted by, the Solonic family or whatever they want to put on their little placard to put on there. I can go put the placard on there. That's easy enough.
So I took your idea from last meeting and talked to a few people down there, and I think there's interest. I forgot to talk about them donating money, but I was, like taking care of it, watering it, whatever. And there seems to be some interest. I don't know if you know Rick Durant, but he was like, yeah, I think we could get 5 or 6 people right, and he named them, right off the block. He'd be willing to coordinate that, he said. But he mentioned, like, you said a placard, like, in memory of, like, he was talking about, like, in memory of his mother or whatever, where they would put these placards, like, I assume in the dirt. I don't know, or on the pot, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would just
Like this,
anchor.
you screw right to the pot.
Yeah, just screw it right
Right.
to the. Is the pot concrete?
No, pot.
No, it is.
But, okay.
Like,
So yeah, that's easy enough.
Resin type thing.
yeah, it's like a resin.
But he felt there would be interest in a number of people that have lived in downtown for a while to adopt it and take care of it. I did not mention the, paying for, or donating money, but it was more donating time.
The only thing I think about taking care of it is you're gonna miss some uniform. With Marty doing it, he waters them on Monday every week, or whatever it is, and it's gonna always happen. To where somebody's gonna get careless. And
We could do the money thing. I mean, I think they'd probably go either way. I just didn't present it that way,
Right.
but I think you could go down there and say, you can adopt the pot for $100 or whatever the amount is, and you get a placard, and then the city still takes care of it. That's what you're saying. Plus, the other thing I was saying, the city probably wants to pick the flour mixture or whatever that's in there, because then it's uniform.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that makes, I've seen this with other things where, you adopt a brick or you buy a brick, because the poor Vikings, that need more money to get a new quarterback and whatnot, you can buy a brick at the stadium or
Right.
other places, but you buy it, and you get your name on it, and this could be something like that where or park benches, you get your name on, in memory of somebody, you get your name on the pot, but I think the city
Two-part question.
should stay in control of the planting and the maintaining. But I think it would be a nice thing for people to have that opportunity to buy that pot and put it in memory of whoever they want, or in memory of themselves, if that's,
Or if it's a
the direction they wanna
business,
go, yeah.
put in, donated
Sure,
by, whatever.
sponsored by, right.
I think our first thing is to decide whether or not Marty's
Councilmember
going to take care
Scott
of it.
Slonick, a legend in his own mind.
Have a beef jerky.
Yeah, that would be a big plaque.
So the first question should be really, they can put their name on it, but Marty takes care of it. Do you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's handled. Now, the next question is the plate itself, the commemorance. Is there a time frame on this? Do you buy it for X amount of time? Is there, how do we do this? Because is it that forever?
I think it's that season.
I would just do it annually. That's what I would do.
Because if you got to buy it every year,
Correct.
okay, then we got to make our price less. Because if you buy it for a longer term, then you pay more.
Sure. However you guys want to do it.
Or you could give both options, annual or life or something, and have two different
If you do that, you got to do
prices.
it to all of them.
No,
make it even
but I'm just
fair.
saying, you could, like, you're going to write this program on a piece of paper, and people are going to sign up for it, and you could say, 1 year is $100, for eternity is $1,000. I don't know, So if someone wanted to pay $1,000 and have their placard on there for as long as the flower pot's out there.
Eternity until the plow hits it, knocks it over.
These will be removed before.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be here.
Let's get to
I mean,
You guys
I don't
do not
want
want to spend $4,000 next year to buy new flower pots.
and I don't want to see it get more complicated than it needs to be.
Right.
Because the
Right.
more complicated it is, the less likely someone's going to be involved in it.
Agreed.
So the thought in my head was just
Tell
like,
us your plan.
just to help offset the cost of the pots, really, is the only thing, so your placard, let's say it's gonna cost $50 to make a placard. I mean,
Roughly.
someone can go put it on. So we say it's $300 and your name is on there
For how long?
forever. Because if you do a yearly thing,
Are these square?
They're square, yes.
So we could sell possibly 4 plates per year. Just trying to minimize you
You're gonna be
guys.
lucky to get 8 of them, I think, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to, it's got to be affordable. And the main thing is just to get recognition for someone in the community. Not, so, again, without making it any more complicated than it needs to be. Because that's the way I was looking at it, but I don't know, I guess I'm looking, whatever the board thinks too, if it should be a yearly thing or just a one-time fee, or I guess feedback from everybody.
I think forever's a long time.
Forever is a long time. I guess I don't know that I would do that. Maybe, how are we gonna get this out there?
I mean, maybe 5
Okay,
years.
that communicator's already gone, so we don't get another one for what, 2 months
Nope. In 3 weeks it goes out, 4 weeks.
again?
Yep, goes out every 2 months.
So that's our spot to put it in.
Yep, correct.
I think, so that means we'll have a communicator before the next EDA meeting,
Yes.
and we're not really gonna plant them until mid-May anyway,
How about,
or shortly after that. So let's get it in the communicator, see what kind of interest there is, pick a dollar amount. If we get 20 people that sign up, then you can probably do it annually. If you get 4 people that sign up, there's not a lot of interest, so you better take what you get.
But we gotta tell people,
Yeah.
is this
well, you do
in
3.
perpetuity or is it for this season? I mean,
Right,
they gotta know what
okay.
they're putting their money on. And I hadn't thought about it being having a time limit on it, but it kinda seems like it should. I mean, we've only got 8 pots, so.
Right.
Right, if you have 20 people that wanna do it, we're limiting the opportunity.
I think I'd keep the money low and just make it a seasonal thing. And that way you could actually have more chance of raising more money. Because let's say it's $100. And then you've got, every year, you got 8 people, $100, that's $800.
It's gonna cover the cost of the flowers.
I mean, maybe it'll cover at least the cost of flour, whatever it is, but otherwise you could do $300 for life, but I don't know, the higher that gets to be, the less interest I think you're going to have.
I don't know, I think 300 for 3 years.
You could do that
So 100 a
too.
year.
100 a year, but
there are
it's,
4 spots in this thing.
No.
I look at this thing as 4 spots.
Oh, I think
So you can have
I think
position 1,
that-
2, or 3. One that faces the housing, one that faces the street, and one that faces east-west.
I think that looks kinda
And
good.
it's, yeah.
I think it's just one.
One person per name, I think one per pot.
we can always get more pots later, if it's that big of a success.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put probably 10 or 15 of them right here on the sidewalk at the city hall.
Yep. They may like the 4
I'm
thing
just kidding,
idea,
I'm
or
just
is it just
joking
one
about
thing?
I
One
go
or
for
4?
thing.
One.
1? Okay.
One.
1?
Okay, what's
What
the
it is.
what's the dollar amount? What do we decide?
1 year, we're doing 1 year?
If we do it annually, it's different. But then you got to go through, and that's a maintenance thing for.
Well, we got to take them and put them away anyways, so,
That's a Marty maintenance.
well.
Let's do 5.
we
Let's do
gotta-
5-year minimum.
We gotta do, we have to take them out and move them back to the public
They're gonna
workshop
go to
every day,
public
every
works.
year anyway, so it isn't
Yeah.
a big deal for.
I think if you just do it for a year.
Do you like a 5-year minimum?
So if you buy it, you're on it for 5 years?
Yeah.
It's a long time.
I think 3 years.
Is that too long?
3 years,
Annual?
300
I'd go
bucks.
one.
One year.
You make it low.
We can always amend it later, so
Yeah.
we can try it and do 1 year and see if we have a ton of interest. If we do, then we can amend this or talk about this over the winter and figure
All right, well, let's
out.
start with the year. You guys okay with the year?
Year, okay, how
$50
much?
bucks for 1 year.
Yeah.
How much?
50 or
150 bucks
100.
for 1 year.
150? How much are the pots?
The pots are
Costs were 450, 500.
450
So-
or 500 bucks a piece plus.
18% of the cost of the pot.
How much are the flowers?
They're gonna be 50
the-
bucks. These guys think 100, but 50.
Yeah, so I would guess $50,
got 'em all
$75
growing
per
at
pot likely, unless, yeah. They might be, I don't think they're
Sean?
gonna be $100.
Tomato, tomato?
Well,
Flip a coin?
it's whatever, it's the consensus of everybody, really. It's just, I didn't have anything like set in my head, but the main thing was I just wanted
To subsidize.
community participation.
Right. I think that's even more important
You have
than
8 units?
any money we're going to recoup is the community participation.
$3,800 to
Yeah.
ship and receive 8 pots. It's $3,800.
So with the placards, we buy 1 pot, $450 ish. If we sell them at 150 times 8, right? That's 450.
450.
150 times 8?
Yeah, how many?
Better be
You're
more
all
than
wet,
that.
buddy.
How many pots we got?
You're all wet.
You got eight
150 times
Hold
8.
on here.
I'm
So, all
surprised you
right.
can make money.
You better be $1,000
Good day to get
or
your
more.
car fixed.
It's about $1,200.
$1,200.
Eight times 150 is $1,200.
So within a couple of years, the pots will be paid for.
You remember you got to annually plant the flowers. They'll be,
Yeah.
Buy the plaques too.
yep, and you got to buy the
And
plaques.
and the
I mean,
pots won't last forever either.
Nope, they won't.
They'll fade and
Yeah.
not look
We
very
got terracotta
good.
ones, so they
I
won't
think
fade
it-
that much.
Yeah.
As Sean said, to me, the most important thing of the whole idea is to get community involvement, kind of deal, you know. And so, if we can subsidize some costs by doing that, I think that's great. But it's probably not the primary objective.
150, I hear.
That covers the plaque too.
Yeah, 150. That's fair. 1 year.
All agreed on that? 1 year, 150.
Agreed? Sure.
We're nodding our head to that.
Okay. Do I get
A motion.
let's do a motion and a second, so we got it all on the books. So
I
we're good
got
to go.
it. I'll make
Annually adopt the flower
We're gonna
pot.
You
motion
came
to
up
do-
with it. Make
I'll
a
make the
motion.
motion for 100.5.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second that.
I got a second.
Sean seconded
Sean
it.
maybe too.
Sean's got it.
Sean.
Yeah, Sean should like to do
Yeah.
that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Perfect.
Move it on.
Great job. EDA chair and members of the EDA, there is not a lot of updates for you on industrial, commercial, or residential applications because we don't have any. We have had lots of tire kickers talking about various areas of the city and talking about this or that, but nobody's actually submitted a concept plan or discussion. Like I said, we've had multiple discussions with multiple different areas of the city and
Nothing
nobody's.
going on, which is okay. So let's move
Yeah.
that. Let's use that time to talk about this email you sent about the launching the app. Tell us
Sure.
what this app is.
Sure. So launching the app, so the city of Dayton is looking to launch an app to be able to connect the city more and be able to get information out quicker, easier to people that want it. So when we're looking at doing the app, part of the app will be parks and trails, part of it will be businesses in town, part of it will be where to find stuff, part of it will be school district information. So it's going to be a collaborative effort between school districts, the city, and then where to find things, how to contact this person, how to contact that person. Here's your garbage hauler, or then your electric companies and all that other stuff, just to provide more information to residents as they come into town or if they've been here a while. Then you're able to push notifications, so we will be able to send stuff out via that app and say, okay, check out this thing, or hey, we have this program going on, or we have work on Dayton River Road, and it'll get pushed out, and automatic notifications will be able to be sent to people's phones so that they get it right away. People are wanting information sooner, faster, and quicker. If they can't get it within 2 clicks, typically, they don't want it. And our website is full of information, however, you have to go and click and want it. We're working on getting the website updated, and getting that to be much easier to find stuff and find information, but the app is one of the process that we're doing.
Is this a one-way communication or is this a two-way?
You should be able to, or we're working on trying to be able to do a contact us, so you can send it via like website contact submissions. That could be from anything from, hey, I have a pothole in my neighborhood, to, hey, my neighbor's dog is running around the yard.
So like a Champlin thing.
Sure, I don't know what Champlin does,
Yeah,
but
they got that same kind of thing.
sure.
Take a picture of a pothole, send it in.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just be able to communicate with residents, but there'll be a contact us form to be able to fill out on that website, or on the app. We're working on it. I think it's supposed to be live in a couple months, maybe. I think Amy's been the one heading that up, so she's been the one in charge of that process.
So what do you need from us?
Not much, unless you guys have business names. Juan sent a big list over, which was great, with just contact information and what number to call, like who to contact and number to call for businesses in town that are either in town or owned by somebody that lives in town. So we'll try to promote all businesses, not only ones that are actually in Dayton, but ones that are owned by residents of Dayton, which I think is a good thing to keep it local. So.
Did you talk to the police department about that?
Yes, so I'm working with the police department to get a bunch of more information of like,
Okay. Because I know every
business
year
owners
we
and
have to
stuff.
update our contacts, you know,
Yep.
like who's working there and.
yeah, so I'll work with Dane, who's the main contact at the police
Yeah.
department, to be able to update
Because that was
those
our
things.
authority list when we went through ours.
Yeah, The issue that we have, the only part that we can't get is the businesses that are owned by Dayton residents. That's the one part we're missing because they're not physically in town, so the police department won't have those.
And they're not quick to give information if it's a home-based business.
They might not be, yeah, but if they.
Or are you
want
talking
to-
about people that live in Dayton that might own businesses in other?
Yeah, they might own businesses, Rogers, Maple Grove, Monticello, wherever they
Oh.
own, Anoka, whatever. If they own a business and you live in Dayton, we want to be able to support.
Got to have
business
Dayton
owners.
ties, period.
Correct, exactly.
Well, couldn't we, to me, that's a tough one, but that would be something to put in the communicator. And what are the benefits? You know, like, okay, if you own a business, it doesn't have to be in Dayton, but if you're a Dayton resident and you own a business,
Yep.
here are the benefits, whatever those are. And, you know, we just need to know who those people are so we can communicate with you and let you know what these are.
Correct.
Because as an example, I own a business outside of Dayton, but I wouldn't have even thought about adding it to the list.
Correct. The idea is to be able to keep it local so you can support people that actually live in the community that you
If
live
only
in.
we had a Facebook site that would only support local people.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe we could work on that.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
All right.
That's all I got. So.
Residential applications you didn't mention?
We don't have any.
Zero.
So we don't have
Okay.
any for industrial, commercial, or residential, nothing, which I'm surprised about. I know that the one property that had talked about it when we did the moratorium process with the council was the Stensley property with a high-density apartment building. They have not submitted a concept plan yet, which I'm very surprised on, but.
What about just single-family home permits?
We have so we haven't, so when we say a moratorium's on the city, in a partial of the city, or just in general, we haven't had any applications, it means we haven't had a new plats yet. So that's like physically a new plot of land being replatted to put homes on it. We're still issuing building permits. I don't remember where we're at to date. I'm gonna guess somewhere around 40 or 50, somewhere in there. That's my rough guess,
Okay.
numbers. Last year, we would have been at probably almost 100 by now. So we're at about 50% of where we were at before. We still have lots available for building, so that's good. I think the last time I looked, I think it was like 700-ish, somewhere in there of lots available to be built on from other plats or unplatted areas like Sundance Green still has a few more additions left to do, so they're counted in that 700 lots even though they're technically not platted yet. They have a final plat done, but they just have another addition that they do, so they only do 30 homes at a time in addition. So they'll have, I think they're on 14 or something. But like Riverwalk is another one that has, it's on second edition. They haven't even put a home in on second edition, but now there are actually lots. But I think there's 6 editions on that one, or 7 editions on that one development. So.
Anybody else have anything to add? I'd like to
Yeah.
bring it out now. And we also have a new city administrator.
You do, officially.
Officially.
Thank you.
Congratulations. He has been chosen for the spot. Thanks.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
if we order more pots,
Yep.
before you pay for transportation, give me a call.
Sure.
We know a guy. We got a
Because
guy.
our owners, I'm sure, would be very friendly to minimize the amount of money they need to make on a shipment for the city of Dayton.
I got a Hollow Sherman tank. Can we talk?
Yeah. We can talk.
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous when we looked at the
Yeah.
shipping. I said, "That's a lot of money. $600 is a lot of money for shipping."
Yeah.
That's a lot.
What do they weigh?
I have no clue.
Like
It's not
25
the weight,
25
it's
pounds.
that they're high class because they take up a lot of
They
space
take up space,
and they're not very heavy.
Yeah.
right. They'll all fit on one pallet. I'm sure it's coming in a dry trailer.
I'm sure. I don't have a clue. Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
$600 is spending.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have to remember that for future years.
Well, I will use that for future reference. Thank you.
yeah.
Does anybody else have anything? We're getting close to wrap-up time. Anybody?
I move we adjourn.
We have a motion.
Yeah, I haven't had a
Second.
coffee yet, so.
I'm sorry?
I said I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.